Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0. That is right. Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0. We thumped them. Absolutely thumped them. Welcome to the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. This is Rav, your host. I've tried 4 to 5 takes at this intro. I've botched them all because I've been a blubbering mess. No one wants to hear a 44-year-old man like gushing and stumbling over words, do they? Right? But that's why I've had repeated takes to try and get this right. So this is a raw reaction. Kickoff, pardon me, the final whistle was about 35 minutes ago. I stayed a little bit longer to watch the post-match stuff, and I'm in La La Land. I'm in delirium, listening to the interviews, seeing the post-match scenes, watching with my sons. I'm showing them the goals that they were asleep for the first goal, for Rice's first goal. So I'm trying to fill them in. The house is absolutely buzzing with excitement. I'm beside myself. I cannot believe what we just saw. It's one of my greatest experiences watching Arsenal. I struggled to sleep last night as fully anticipated. 5 a.m. kickoff scheduled for here in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia. I have an alarm set. That's usually part of my routine. If I'm in a deep sleep, the alarm just helps me, give me the nudge to get me out of bed and get going. Tonight though, this morning, I didn't need any alarm. I was up every 45 minutes. It got to about 2 o'clock. Then I managed to sleep to 2:30, then crawled to 3:15. By 4 o'clock, I was done, right? There's no way I can get back to sleep. And I didn't want to risk going back to sleep and missing anything, right? So got myself going and was trying to watch as much of the pre-match coverage as they allowed here. It's a broadcast service here called Stan, where unfortunately for the first 15, 20 minutes of the coverage, it's the three same gentlemen in the studio. Listen to them bang on, and you just got the images and video in the background. But me, I wish I could swap the two. I wish I could just watch the video and just have them on the smaller side of the screen, because I wanted to soak in as much of the pre-match stuff as possible. The Emirates just looked incredible. If you were there, I would absolutely love to hear from you and hear your experiences, please, because it looked phenomenal. Like what an atmosphere. And I have to say, now that I've just touched on this point, apologies again, that there's very little rhyme or structure to this. It's just me just talking with just raw emotion and excitement as well, right? Normally I try to follow a bit of a structure with the notes I take and my talking points, but here it's just all a bit out the door. I'm sorry again. I'll try and do my best to be as cohesive as possible. Full credit to everyone at the club for what they produced tonight. Of course, I'll get to the plays in a moment. However, have to acknowledge the efforts behind the scenes. Whoever was involved, whatever teams were involved in coordinating that pre-match entertainment was outstanding. Everything from the light show to the color coordination, it looked brilliant on video. It looked absolutely brilliant. I know I've heard from people who go to the matches and they sometimes feel a little bit silly because they're standing there in their seat with like a colored card above their head, right? It's only one of those things where when you see it in all its glory zoomed out and you see the entire scape of it, it looks phenomenal. So hats off to everyone involved. The light show, the stadium announcer, my God, he's got a fantastic voice. Like, it's just a booming, deep, moving voice. It just gets you going. Everyone involved, hats off. And Mikel Arteta, absolute masterclass. His tactics, his preparation, absolute masterclass. Full credit to him. He's up against who they call him King Carlo for a reason, Ancelotti. He's won more than anyone else, right? He's the king of European football. Full credit to him. And Arteta's gone toe to toe with him, and Arteta bossed him. We absolutely had them on toast. They couldn't keep up, Real Madrid. The first half, I'll try and just segment into a section in a few moments. But that second half, we absolutely obliterated them. They couldn't keep pace. And Arteta, he was at his He was at his passionate, instructional best from the opening kickoff, and you saw him. You saw his energy, his emotion on the side, how much he was coaching the players. And I know this is not anything particularly new, right? There was just something palpable or something different tonight. He instilled so much belief in them. It was so encouraging. And full credit to Mikel Arteta. It's been a really, really difficult campaign, really difficult. And we don't need to get too much into why and how and where we are in the league. And we know all that, right? So to know internally that your last real tilt is in a cup competition in the Champions League, right? That can be hard inside, because you can sometimes err on the side of building it up too much, having too much energy, too much emotion. It might spill out into lack of composure and stuff. And I do believe that's what happened in the first league last year against Bayern. We again had them on toast. We took the lead in a 15-minute patch. Like that was the difference in the tie. They scored 2 goals, a few moments of madness. Sane skinned Kiwior on the counter, and that was that over the 2 legs. That 15-minute patch, that was the difference. And I think we've learned so much. Arteta has learned so much to try and channel that energy and keep them grounded, keep them focused, keep them, keep their eyes and feet on the job, right? We did really, really well with that in this match. And that comes from the manager. It comes from the belief. It comes from maturity, experience, right? He was on point and the players responded. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of everything that they produced tonight. It's one of the greatest performances, one of the greatest nights of European football in Arsenal's history. And sure, right, you can point to the fact that it's because we've never won it before, right? And that's all true, right? A club, I don't think any Arsenal fan shies away from this fact, right? For a club of Arsenal's stature, our history, to not have a Champions League trophy, it reflects poorly on us as an institution. It does. So I'm not going to shy away from that. And rival fans may look towards and say, hey, look how giddy we're getting. Look how much we're celebrating a first league quarterfinal win. But this is more than that. This is more than that, right? We have been building to this for a number of years. And what I mean is, when Arteta came in and took over from Emery, post Wenger, the club was broken, right? We know what I'm referring to. It was a very fractured club, from executive level to ownership level, to the players. Our recruitment strategy didn't quite pay off. We overpaid some experienced players to try and maintain some sort of European football or keep us in the Champions League. Our model, our financial model, was very much dependent upon that, and we were drifting along for so long, so many years in the Europa League. And Arteta and the club and Vinay and Edu at the time, like, they all made very considered decisions, backed by KSE and Tim Lewis and the board, right, that we need to take 2 steps back in order to move forward. We have been building to something like this for a long, long time. We had to clean out the squad, reinvest in young players, reinvest in the system, tie down the tactics, tie down key players to long-term contracts, right, and build ourselves back up to where we are, to first, of course, qualify for the Champions League again, right? But then the next objective becomes, we need to go deep. We make no mistake, we want to win this competition. Make no mistake about that. That's the ambition. That's the goal. And it oozes from Arteta. He wants to win. He wants to win everything. He wants to win this competition. And we have been building to nights like this, right? We deserve to be there with the amazing campaign we had. We didn't concede a goal at home in the group stage. We earned that extra 2 matches off when the other teams had to qualify to get to the round of 16. Right, we earned that by finishing where we did, finish 3rd without conceding a goal at home. We absolutely deserve to be here. We have been building to nights like this. The fans have been waiting. The fans have been patient. Look how passionate that Emirates Stadium was. We've been wanting this for a long, long time. I remember about a decade ago, Ivan Gazidis said something like, after we signed Ozil, that, in a year or two's time, we'll be competing with the likes of Bayern Munich across Europe, not just from a financial viewpoint, but from a trophy viewpoint. And unfortunately, that didn't eventuate, for reasons that we all know and don't really need to cover again right now. But fast forward to now, what Arteta has been trying to do, right? It's clear to see what he's been trying to do over many, many years in building the club, getting us ready, getting us accustomed to being here on these stages. And the players did not freeze. We were not overawed. We didn't seem scared of their aura, of their players, world-class players across the pitch for Real Madrid, of course. And we looked them in the eye and we dismantled them. We smashed them. I'll call it like it is. We absolutely smashed them. If it wasn't for Courtois, who was outstanding tonight, outstanding. If he didn't make a few worldy saves, we could be out of sight, right? We could be. Now, I know many people will say, look, 3-0, the tie is done. But nah. No way. I don't... As buzzing as I am, I'm also like we also need to keep our feet on the ground. 3-0 going to Madrid at the Bernabeu with some of the magic that Real Madrid can conjure in the Champions League, and of course, they do get some help from time to time from officiating decisions, right? And we all know, I think there's a bit of PTSD with officiating related decisions for Arsenal fans this season, right? So I don't feel safe at all just yet, but if it wasn't for Courtois, we could be 5-6-0, and they had a few goal line clearances as well. Like we absolutely deserve. This is not a lucky, plucky, we jagged one out of nowhere type victory. We deserve this. We absolutely do. Declan Rice. Speaking of people who have been waiting for this sort of stage, this is why Declan Rice chose Arsenal. This is why he came to us. This is why he wanted to work with Arteta for these moments, for these nights, right? The £105 million bargain I've heard him refer to repeatedly, and he is. I heard Moyes say in the lead up to the Everton match last week that he was saying at his time at West Ham, he reckons Arsenal got a steal. He said that Declan was worth more than £150 million, and there's that famous chant the fans sing that Declan Rice, we got him half price, right? And my God, those goals. I said it with the first free kick. I absolutely lost my mind, right? When he scored that, when I saw the replay, it got better and better. The way it bends around the wall, then back into the post. Remember that famous Roberto Carlos goal from like 15, 20, probably 20 years ago now? That GIF where I've seen that replayed and used so many times, like hundreds of times since. Like, this is right up there. This is one for the ages. This was our moment. This was Declan Rice's moment. An unbelievable free kick. From my understanding, his first direct free kick goal ever in his career. And what a time to do it. What a time to do it. All the times over the last 3 or 4 years, I think it's been since Arsenal scored from a direct free kick from Odegaard many seasons ago in the Premier League. All the times we've missed, like it's worth it for me. It's been worth it. It's come back and paid off, right? And then he did it again. He did it again just 7 minutes later. Which is the better goal? I don't know, right? What a conundrum to even have. What a conversation to even have. Which one was better? To me, they were both 11 out of 10. They were ridiculous shots, pinpoint, unsavable. As good as Courtois was or is, as good as any goalkeeper who's ever played the game is, right? They're not saving that. You take the goalkeeper out of the equation with delivery of that quality. He hit them to perfection. The slow motion replays, somehow they get better and better every time I watch them. And you betcha, after I upload and record this, I'm going to be straight back onto YouTube. I'm going to be watching every single replay I can. I'm going to be watching every post-match interview, the players, the coaches. I'm going to be watching the fan videos on YouTube, all the clips in and around the ground and in the stadium, pre-match, post-match. I just hook it to my veins, right? Just hook every single thing, every bit of content, hook it to my veins, please. It was incredible. So when Declan scored his first goal, so for context, this was just after 6 a.m. here in Melbourne. My sons and my wife were still asleep. I'm watching in the lounge room. So of course I've got my headphones in. I'm like screaming into my mouth, not making a noise and just jumping up and down like a madman. But thankfully over the next few minutes, they did wake up and they were there sitting in and around the lounge room watching with me for his second goal. And my God, then I lost my mind. all the build up, the hours and hours that I've been awake and watching and trying to contain my excitement mixed with nerves and anxiety and everything that all gets mixed in together. I absolutely lost it. I have not lost it like that in a long time. My boys have been reenacting my reaction, right? It's quite funny seeing them because it was almost like an out of body experience. Apparently I've charged towards the TV and I've given like a huge, big, like loud bang, sort of motion. And I believe them because I believe I did do that. And I can actually feel it. My right shoulder, it's quite cold here in Melbourne at the moment in the mornings. And so the force of which I punched out my right arm, I think I've done something to my shoulder. I really do. It's gone numb now, right? It's not good. It's not a good feeling at the moment. I mean, my shoulder doesn't feel good, but is it worth it? Hell yes. I'd do it all again if I can. I'll pop my left shoulder next week for the second leg if I have to, right? And then I'll do it all again for the semi-finals if we advance that far. But it's all worth it to me. They were cracking up laughing, listening. I'm otherwise quite measured and composed usually as a human being. But when it comes to Arsenal, when it comes to those moments, I lost my mind. And seeing them reenact it 100 times, rolling around on the carpet, was hilarious. And then just as my heart rate slowed down, just as I was composing myself and pinching myself that, is this real? I was thinking to myself, 2-0, blow the whistle now. I'll take this. I'll take a 2-goal lead to Madrid. No dramas. Just blow the whistle now. See it through. Give them nothing. Don't give anything cheap away. And then Mikel Merino, what a shot that was. I mean, it's not. It may not tickle the same sort of fancies as like a world-class strike like Rice's free kicks. However, I said this in my recording. I've said this a few times in previous podcasts. If you're a repeat listener, that if he's a very technically gifted footballer. If Arsenal gets shots on goal, I want Mikel Merino taking them. I want Ethan taking them, right? We've seen some other shots, from Odegaard and Trossard and whatnot. They're drying up a little bit, right? They're regressing, but this is who I want taking the shots of goal. And Mikel Merino, it was just a beautifully clipped, tucked in shot. Again, unsavable, but it doesn't need to be blasted into the corner, right? From there, he just knows what to do. It was an experienced, composed finish. On his left foot, he watched it beautifully. He struck it precisely where he wanted to on his foot, hit it sweetly, and it's a goal. And I lost my mind again in the aftermath. My oldest son was telling me there's a potential offside. And I was just thinking to myself, no, please don't do this to me. Like, don't do this to me. Don't take that away. Because earlier in the first half, it was a very even first half, right? There was a 50-50 call with that penalty with the arm extended. And as much as I don't want to see penalties given for that, we know for a fact that with the decisions Real Madrid get and with home teams usually get in European football in the Champions League, they usually pay them, right? If the roles are reversed, right, I swear that would have been an Arsenal, that would have been a penalty given against Arsenal, but we unfortunately didn't get them. And in the first half, I thought they got away with a lot. The 50-50 calls, the 50-50 challenges, the free kicks that they were getting paid, we didn't. And I just didn't want that whole narrative to be written again. I'm sick of talking about refs. I'm sick of talking about officiating. I'm sure everyone is, and we're tired, right? We're tired. What Arsenal did incredibly well today, hats off, full credit to them, is they took that off the board. They took the linesman decisions off the table. They took the refereeing decisions off the table. We took it into our own hands, and we blasted the goals in. You can't overturn that. You're not overturning those free kicks from Declan Rice. You're just not. We removed that from the discussion, and we made sure that we did what we needed to do to win. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of what I've just seen. Like it truly is one of the greatest experiences in my 30 years following this magnificent, wonderful football club. I thought Lewis Skelly was fantastic. Again, he's got tree trunks for legs. You can't knock him over. Like he was imperious in midfield. I thought Partey did very well, pulling the strings. Saliba outstanding again, especially that one-on-one with Mbappe, the way he covered ground. And Mbappe is frighteningly quick, by the way. I have to say this, and this is maybe a conversation for another time in the lead up to the second leg, but my goodness, are they dangerous on the counter. They are frighteningly quick. The relationship between Bellingham and Mbappe and Vinny Jr., they were incredible. All it takes is a split second and they're off, they're away. Real Madrid, they had some chances, right? They did. They'd probably be ruining a few first half moments where their final ball, similar to Arsenal's, was missing. They got in behind and they looked very, very dangerous. So did we. A few times, Bukayo, who was outstanding tonight, outstanding. He played a few cutbacks in, and there was just unfortunately no one there, no one approaching at the back post. Martinelli or Marino, they just weren't there at that time. And Bukayo, I know he came off with an ankle knock. I'm hoping it's not too serious, because just he looked okay in walking off. I saw him in the background celebrating boisterously when Marino scored the goal. I'm hoping he's okay. Post-match, he looked okay, touch wood. I reckon he was probably earmarked for maybe 65, 70 minutes anyway. So perhaps precautionary, when he got that injury, they decided, okay, now's the time to come off and bring Trossard on. So I'm hoping he's okay. Thankfully as well, we had a few players skirting with a yellow card. No one picked up a second yellow to miss next week. Oh my goodness, I haven't mentioned this yet. Camavinga is massive. Camavinga with a late red card, suspended for next week. That is huge for Arsenal too, huge. We'll talk about that another time. But I'm so proud of the performance we saw. Kiwior had a few iffy moments to start with. Again, I just thought, oh dear, I hope it's not going to come back to bite us. But as the game grew on and he got more and more involved and ticking things over with his touches, he did really well. So, full credit to everyone. Full credit. It was an outstanding performance, a very professional, mature, composed performance by Arsenal from top to bottom. I'm so proud of them, and what to even say? What can I add anymore? This is one of the greatest results this club has produced in a long time. What an experience for the fans. I'm sure so many of them have kicked on, right? Like North London would be buzzing right now in the next few days. The feeling, the energy, the momentum around the club, it's going to be massive, right? Real Madrid, we thumped them 3-0, and you know what? We deserved it. We deserved this result. And if anything, they got lucky that it wasn't more. I am so proud of what we've seen. Let me know what you think, right? Share any feedback or thoughts, especially if you were there. I'd love to hear. Where did you watch it? What did you think? Were you losing your mind as I was and as I still am on this recording? I'm so proud of this club. They've done us all. They've done us all justice. It's a huge moment, huge European night for this wonderful football club, and I'm so proud of all of them. Thank you so much for listening. I will bring this one to a close. Please, if you're listening on YouTube, like, subscribe. Podcast reviews are most welcome. Thank you so much. What a night. I'm going to upload this and I'm going to get back and watch it again with my sons. I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for listening. Oh my goodness. One of the great performances from Arsenal. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one. Come on, Arsenal.